Cut. All right, just let me start this off real quick. I'm speaking with Elliot Sortillo, chosen reservoir survivor, POW, and a career military guy. Stayed into Vietnam through how long? When did you get out?
I retired in '71.
In '71. Okay. I didn't come here to speak about my book, but I wanted to bring this reference. Ray Cottrell was a command sergeant major over the 26th Infantry, and there's some maps in about the middle of the 3/4 of the way through. They were based at the Iron Triangle in southern Vietnam.
Okay.
And if you look on the maps, you'll see a military camp on some of the maps there in the northeastern corner. That camp was Camp Holiday Inn, and they were based, the 26th was based out of Lac. So their area of operation, I think, was Sector 3 or 4 or something like that.
Well, let's see. We had four zones, so to speak. We had
Yeah, I think there might have been 3. If one was north and 4 was south.
2 was in the we were in II Corp.
Okay.
Then III Corp was Saigon, and IV Corp was the Delta.
They were 3 Corps.
Okay.
Because I know the Australians were down in like 4 Corps.
And we were in II Corp.
Yeah, so he was just south of you.
Okay.
So, and he spoke many times about crossing over into Cambodia and all that kind of stuff. He didn't do any special forces per se, but he did introduce the Vietnam era. He got there in '68, and by the end of '68 he was running rat patrols. So he would take like 2 to 4, 6 Jeeps out, and sometimes over different divisions. He had the 25th working with him. They brought 1 Jeep. The 26th would provide 3 or 4, depending upon the need.
Okay.
And they'd have 30 cows or 40 cows mounted to their Jeeps, and they'd have 2 of them, right? And they would just protect certain villages. Because to explain Vietnam to people that don't know, you had like your bases, and then you had the war area. It's like there was no formal battle lines.
That's right.
To speak of, other than the DMZ. So Ray would go out and do intelligence in '63, trying to keep the Viet Cong and the North Vietnamese out of the area.
Yeah.
So he was building relationships with local chiefs and whatnot, and that prepped him for '68. Once '68 he got there, he got pissed off because there was so many infantry groups going out there and getting killed, and they're not really gaining any ground. So he came back with the old World War II version of the Rat Patrol, and he got his colonel to approve it. So the 26th Infantry started building Jeeps to run rat patrols, and they would run a perimeter at night around certain villages, and when the Viet Cong would come in to either steal supplies or men or whatever, he'd knock them off on the front end. And his career was 305 night missions with no losses and only 2 earned Purple Hearts for minor injury. I mean, very, very successful guy.
Well, you know, going back to pre-64, I got there in '64, and prior to that, the Special Forces was, our mission was pacification and gaining the trust of the people. What would happen was we would they would build a camp, a hamlet, so to speak, and we would recruit from that area troops, train them, and then we would visit each village. But then we'd come back in the hamlet at night. Now we did send out patrols every day. We were out patrolling. But we were limited at that time to 3 and 7 day patrols. And then we'd have to come back in.
What was the limitation brought upon? Why?
That was the program.
Just SOP.
Yeah, it's SOP. We couldn't, if we made contact, we'd have to come back in.
Really?
Really, it was really.
So it was all intelligence, basically.
Yeah, it was a fiasco, because what we were told before we got into country was that we're not going to do what the French did in '54. You know, they would build a hamlet there, hamlet there, hamlet there. And then the Viet Minh, Viet Cong would come in and wipe out that hamlet, and wipe out that hamlet, and wipe out that hamlet. Because there was nothing connecting them.
Right.
So what did we do in '64? We come right back in, and we had this hamlet, and that hamlet, and that hamlet. I said, what's the difference?
Where are you gaining ground?
Where we gaining ground, yeah. And the, we were advisors to the South Vietnamese Special Forces. We had a team, a 12-man team on the base, and we were supposed to be advising them.
Yeah.
Well, we tried advising them, but they wouldn't listen.
Yeah.
And they would, we would find definite evidence that they were infiltrating through Laos at that time.
Yeah.
He said, they're up there. We got to go up there. Well, no, we don't go up. Let's go this way. We know they're up there. Yeah.
So they never wanted to face him.
They didn't want to face it. No.
Wow. So I'm trying to remember, did Mac V turn into Mag V or maybe vice versa? My memory's a little short on the history there.
Mm-hmm.
So in '64, were you attached to Mac V
No.
out of Saigon? Or?
That was a separate military advisory group. You know, Vietnam.
Well, that was the group that Ray was.
Yeah. We were really, our whole Special Forces group, the 5th Special Forces group, went over in September of 1964.
Okay.
The whole, everybody. And we replaced just every Special Forces teams in country.
Well, that's probably why Ray rotated out there.
Mm-hmm.
So he goes in '63, and what he had him do was like he was training new recruits.
Yes.
Guys they brought right off the rice paddies. He said it was ridiculous. I mean, they were defecating all over the area.
Mm-hmm.
He said, and introducing them to toilets didn't do any good. That was a waste of time. And he started freaking out about it. He's like, I can't do this. So he contacts Mac V and he tells them, he says, look, you got to put me somewhere else. So then they attach him to this colonel, South Vietnamese colonel, and he's traveling with the troops, which I would imagine was probably a lot like yours. Hey,
Yeah.
there they are. Let's go left.
Yeah, let's go left. Yeah, we had, when we did make contact, even though we trained these troops, after a while, we taught them how to shoot, how to maneuver, things like that. And we always, one of us was always out there with them.
Yeah.
And as was a Vietnamese Special Forces and an interpreter. We were always on the operation together. Well, I sent out a patrol one time, a young lieutenant, Barry Sadler, the guy who wrote the Green Beret. He was our medic.
Okay.
And one other Special Forces guy, and two Special Forces from the Vietnamese, and the company of Montagnards. So now, I laid out the plan for him, and the captain approved the plan. He says, I said, stay off the damn trails.
Right.
Break new ground. Stay off the trail. Get flank security, front and rear, as in. They weren't out 2 days, and they were back in. Piecemeal, just like the reservoir.
Yeah.
What happened? We got ambushed. I said, where was it ambushed? He said, right there, on the trail. Told you to stay off the goddamn trail. Anyway, we...
First order.
Yeah. Anyway, we went up and rounded up what was left, and there was nothing left. All we had was a bunch of uniforms that we gave them.
Yeah.
They had bolted and run.
Shedded their clothes off like they did in Saigon in '75. Wow.
They took them, and we're back in the loincloths.
Wow.
We had we found the Montagnard company commander. He had been killed. They cut his head off.
Oh yeah.
But we found very little. What we did find was very defined fields of fire and a few casings, but you could see where they cut fields of fire on this trail.
To verify the ambush area?
Yep, to verify the ambush, and it was beautiful, the way they cut them up.
Wow.
And
From a
we said-
military point of view, they were spot on.
And we said, let's clean up what we can, and very few passed, but we knew there was a machine gun there and a machine gun there, and they said, these are regulars, by God. They're not mountain or Viet Cong.
These are North Vietnamese,
These are
at the very least.
But that was 65.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's when they really, we really knew they were there,
Yeah.
just like the Chinese.
Well, that was going to be my next question. I know an AG, retired Army, and he confirmed without a shadow of a doubt regarding Russian involvement
Mhm.
and Chinese involvement.
Yes.
So, in terms of actually capturing or killing a Chinese regular,
Mhm.
of whatever level, or Russian level, did you come across
No,
that during your
no,
Vietnam?
not at the time, no.
Okay.
It was all, matter of fact, it was just soon before I rotated. But we knew when we reported it balanced with other intelligence reports that these are hardcore troops, well-trained troops,
Yeah.
and they were.
What were the similarities that you see in your mind between North Korea coming into South Korea and North Vietnam coming into South Vietnam? What were the biggest standout points that?
You know, I didn't really think about that in Korea. As being a young soldier, all I did was follow orders.
Right, same with Ray. I understand.
All
But
we
now
did-
that you've got some time under your belt and looking back on it,
Yeah, I think we were too dependent on mobility. And these guys, all they had was, all these guys had was sacks of rice thrown over the back. And the Viet Cong were the same way. And the only way to fight them is get out there and get in the bush with them.
right?
You know,
Meet them on their ground.
meet them on the ground. Now, I read recently, not recently, but I read before that the British in Malaya, and their theory was, you get out in the bush, you make contact, and you maintain contact with them. As if he stops this crap, you got the paper for him. The wipe is behind, you know.
Right.
And they got resupplied by air, and they kept contact. They kept contact.
So if they retreated, you stayed hot on their ass.
That's right.
Right.
And,
And that's an Army standard, isn't it?
yeah, no, not really.
Not really? It's an expectation then.
Well, it's an expectation because you go out and make contact, then you bring the PX truck, you know. You take a break, guys.
Here, have a Coke and a smile.
Yeah. Okay, now we'll chase them again,
Yeah.
you know. Meanwhile, they've set up an ambush for you, you know.
And you walked yourself right into it
Yeah.
after you had your pop.
You know, it wasn't a good way to fight a war.
Yeah. Looking back on it, let me back this up a little bit. Generally, when I interview, I just let you start and you take it wherever you want to take it, right? And then to verify in mind that the other people that I've talked to way before these, I don't want to push you into a subject you're not willing to talk about.
Mhm.
You know, I'm not here to rattle any chains.
Yeah.
I'm not a reporter. At best, I'm a researcher that likes to write biographies. My goal is to get as many as you guys as I can on camera, because once I get it on the net, we don't have to worry about losing it again.
Mhm.
It'll be here forever. So that being said, I have two favorite questions, just like they did on the panel last night. my first one is, what's the funniest thing you can recall being in the military? What's your favorite, funniest military story?
See,
That might be hard for you, because you got a lot of comedy in your
oh,
life.
every day was a comedy. Every day was comedy. You know, I can't, right offhand, I can't think of.
All right, well, if it comes to your mind in mid-conversation,
Yeah,
feel free to throw it out.
I had so many, even as a prisoner of war, I hung with people that was the same personality I was. Otherwise, we didn't dwell on it. You know, we had to survive, but we made light of it. And if you couldn't laugh, you know, if you could laugh at yourself,
Wasn't gonna be a good day.
that's right. It's not if your buddy comes over and he's got dysentery and trying to get over you to get out the door and shits on you, you son of a bitch, you know. I'm gonna shit on you next time.
Yeah, you're sleeping by the door tomorrow.
Yeah.
So you were in 33 months,
33 months.
and you were 16 when you went,
16.
and you said last night that you were piled up with a British.
Initially, yes. Initially, when we got captured, I got piled up with the gentleman who surrendered us, Major McLaughlin, said, grab up what you can from the trucks as far as cold weather gear. And I grabbed the sleeping bag. A sleeping bag, which in those days was a army blanket with a zipper on it. It was a summer sleeping bag. We didn't have winter.
So burlap with a zipper.
No, that wasn't even burlap. We didn't. But I grabbed that, and then on the march, I was frozen, and the gentleman behind me or in front of me was frozen, and we both fell down together. And we helped each other up, and it happened to be a British commando, and we helped each other survive the long trek, so to speak, you know.
So your capture point was the fall of the center of the caravan convoy of Drysdale,
Right,
heading up through Chilling Pass to Kodo, or past Kodo. You were already past Kodo.
yeah.
Okay.
We went
Oh
up-
no, you were coming to Kodo. I'm sorry.
No, we were at Kodo. We jumped off at Kodo. We was between Kodori and Hagaru along the road.
Is that Hellfire Valley area?
That's Hellfire Valley.
Thank you. Okay. now-
Okay. And Eddie and I, and well, all the others that were surrendered, we went to a place called Changjin, which was northwest.
Yeah, I have a map of that.
Yeah. And while we were there, and I don't know how long we were there, but there were so many wounded there and frozen, they said, we gotta get some of you people out of here because there's a village up here that's got a hospital. And we make light of it now. We say, well, that we're going to the Mayo Clinic. Of course, it wasn't the Mayo Clinic.
Not by any stretch.
But anyway, so,
They had a toilet and a Band-Aid, right?
yeah, didn't even have that.
Well.
I used one. But Eddie and I, a Korean, North Korean civilian, and one guard, and he had a Knox cart, a Knox sled,
Okay.
and it came down with sled wheels on it, and Eddie and I would take turns riding on it, getting off. He would get on it, and we'd walk like that there, and we went into Manchuria across the Yalu River, which was frozen solid.
They took you into China.
Oh yeah, and down the Manchurian side for a while because of the plains.
Heading south down the Yalu? Or when you
Well,
say
it's west. It'd be west.
Okay,
We
okay.
went from Changi, somewhere along the way, up to the Yalu, but because of the plains strafing everybody up there, you know,
Right.
we went into Manchuria and down that side, and then come back in at night.
To Changjin.
No, come back into North Korea, continue our road to the Mayo Clinic, you know,
Oh, okay.
which at that time was Pyuktong.
Pyuktong?
Pyuktong, yeah, and that was Camp 5, later to be named Camp 5.
Okay.
A lot of the guys called it Death Valley or this, that, and the other thing.
Yeah, Grant McMillan said that his camp was called Death Valley as well, but it was later called Camp 1 or something like
Camp
that.
1. But you know, they gave them names because they didn't have numbers at that time. They named numbers to 51 or 52.
Okay.
But it seems to me that everybody funneled through Pyuktong. And then they went to, eventually was Camp 3, Camp 1, Camp 4, Camp 4A. You
So it was like a processing plant
the
for...
processing plant. But we got there on February the 3rd, 1951. And the only reason I know that is because we come through the gate and everybody's asking us, what happened you guys with, you know, stuff like this. And somebody said, it's February the 3rd. We didn't have a calendar, naturally.
But somebody was keeping track.
Yeah, company was doing, do you have any cigarettes? You know,
Yeah?
if you had a cigarette, then everybody got a puff of a cigarette. But I didn't smoke at the time,
Right?
so I didn't have any cigarettes. But Eddie and I went to, we came in and we went to the Mayo Clinic, which was the hospital, they said it was the hospital. And met by a friend of mine that later on I met him. He says, you guys, you want to die? I said, hell no, we just walked all this way. We come up here for treatment. He says, if you stay here, you're going to die. He looked around, the walls were frozen, and a bunch of guys just laying around dying. He says, you better go out and get one of those houses over there.
This one ain't gonna work.
Yeah, this ain't gonna work.
You keep mentioning Eddie. Who are we speaking about?
Eddie was a British Royal Marine, corporal, Royal Marine.
I don't know if you remember his last name.
Oh yeah, I'm still in touch with him.
Okay.
And Eddie is about 88, 89 years old.
Wow.
And we still exchange Christmas cards. We got each other's email address.
Wow.
And it's really nice. But Eddie and I went to a hooch, and we got there, and we still, all this time we've been sleeping in that sleeping bag with all of our clothes on.
Sharing it.
Yeah. He said, what did he do? He said, his body heat.
Right.
Body heat. But you know.
And commando training paid off.
But he was a good man. He looked out for me, and I looked out for him. That's the only way you can do it.
In terms of being in the camp, because I look at prisons, my viewpoint of being in prison, there's always that one group. There's always that kind of clique that wants to have control, you know. And did you have to contend with much of that?
No. What they did when we got feeling better, of course we had a lot of problems with guys dying. We had a big problem with lice, and all that 51 up until about May. We didn't wash or do anything. We went on wood details, we went on burial details. And we took them over to what we thought was China over there, or Manchuria, and scraped away some snow, put the body in there, and covered him up. But
So they weren't issuing you shovels, is what you're saying?
no, there was no shovels.
They didn't want you to have
Yeah.
any tools to speak
But
of.
we had bodies within our compound. You know, if someone died in your room, and we was about 12 of us in a room, unheated room. If someone died during the night, we just carried him up and put him in that room over there, you know. There was a little courtyard, and it seemed like the room was always stacked full.
Wow.
And
How
Well-
big was the camp at that point? How many people do you think were in the camp?
well, they said that there was 1,200 people died in that camp.
That died in the
They
camp?
died in the camp, yeah.
So the numbers had to be greater than that, needless to say. Go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, but until May, we got fed twice a day at daybreak and at daylight. At daylight and more or less dark.
Yeah.
And we were just busy trying to keep warm because the rooms were not warm, not heated. And we had a lot of sickness, and there was a lot of people gave up.
Just physically done.
Just he said, I'm finished. And they died. And just
What were your meals like?
the meals were no rice. No rice. We didn't get rice until probably about the latter part of 51. It was always cracked corn, millet,
Which is like a corn sawdust.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but and barley. On the way to the camp, we found some root cellars the Korean families had, and we were able to get turnips and potatoes.
Okay.
Yeah, so we stuffed our pockets full, and damn turnips were this big, and frozen. You know.
Oh, yeah. Didn't exactly have a Kroger bag to carry. So
No.
you gotta put an ice cube in your pocket.
But a lot of people died from malnutrition.
As a result.
Yeah, and they had soybeans and peanuts.
And peanuts?
Peanut. I don't know where they got the peanuts from.
Yeah, that's some George Washington Carver stuff there, isn't it?
Must have had President Carter send them over.
Yeah, right. I'm sorry, you got me with Jimmy. That threw me off kilter. So when you got further in, your first year is over, the argument or the discussion, I wouldn't even say the first year, you're probably only in about 7 months at this point. The argument was made that the war itself, beyond a certain point, was really just a war over POWs with regards to who was going to give up who, what, and how they were going to do it, and who was going to save face.
I've heard that, we didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've heard that, and it probably was. It probably was. But we were too busy the first year just surviving.
Yeah.
We didn't care, we just wanted to get out. A lot of guys escaped, but they had LPs and outposts all around the camp,
Uh-huh.
3 or 4 miles out, and the civilians were trained to turn us in. Most of the guys didn't look like Koreans, so
Yeah. So unlike the Great Escape, they didn't look like the Germans, right?
yeah,
There's a story going around about an escape group with a number of anywhere from 36 to 39 individuals that got out successfully. Were you aware of anybody that was a POW that escaped?
no one. I can almost surely say that no one's escaped from Camp Fire.
Okay.
We were right on the yellow.
And when you came back in '53, meeting with other POWs, because I understand you all went to a ship.
Yes.
I don't know if every POW that was left went to the same ship or not. Was that?
No. We came down home at different times,
Okay, so they came out in sections.
Now Grant might have come home on the same ship I did.
But you would never know it.
I would have known him because he was in a different camp.
Right.
Unless I had known him before, I wouldn't have known him because I've got the list of people who were from our camp on August the 12th. And Grant said he was August the 13th. They were publishing the Far East Stars and Stripes.
Huh.
Every day that who was they released 100 people on August the 12th.
August.
And my name was on one of them. And most of the people, I'd say, because I almost knew everybody on that list. I don't think there was a name on that list that I didn't at least know his name.
Okay.
And everybody was Camp 5.
Of that 100 for that day, for that,
Yes.
for that
And
release.
he was probably in Camp 3 or Camp 1.
Now, I don't need to mention the name, I'll just mention the story. The Red Cross was flown in when some of these guys were being released, on the day they were supposed to be released.
Mm-hmm.
So they sent out everybody in this group, with the exception of 3 individuals. And the Red Cross flew in with helicopters, gave them toothpaste, toothbrush, and a candy bar. They were there for an hour, and then they flew right back out. And they told these 3 guys to jump on the Jeep and try to catch up with the convoy that's on their way to being released. So in your time in, did you see any Red Cross involvement at your camp?
The only time I think I saw the Red Cross, and I'm not sure of this, when we got finally down to the release point, they gave us a bar of Lifebuoy soap and some cigarettes. And everybody that I knew, we jumped in this little creek or whatever, and we started washing and smoking cigarettes. Who brought it? I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't see anybody. I didn't see any what you call round eyes,
Right.
Red Cross people.
Right, right. So at any time during your 33 months, you saw no Red Cross
No,
of
nothing.
any sort? Okay. I don't know if they were intentionally being left out, or I don't know how that whole process worked. When I came here, I had really no expectations that I'd be able to speak to a POW at all, so
Yeah.
I'm amazed just to have the opportunity to.
But they said that the Red Cross gave packages out, and then they were distributed. I don't recall.
Really.
I really don't recall.
There's a lot of people in our area now, 2017, that think about putting money into certain organizations like that and it not yielding any result on the other end.
I'm not one of them, but I don't give to the Red Cross. Salvation Army.
Yeah, I'm not trying to belittle anybody.
No.
I'm just trying to get your take on this
Yeah.
on this situation. I've heard wounded warriors come up in the news a couple of times.
Oh,
There's all kinds of.
I'm all for the veterans and helping and everything, but these people who take advantage of it,
Right.
and the CEOs and the people who are raking in millions.
While the efforts they're supposed to be doing
Yes.
aren't being met. I agree with that.
And there's no oversight. Nobody's watching them.
Right, and I don't even know how you would go about doing it, even if you could oversight. I mean, can they give you access to the books?
Well, they got to file their taxes, and then they say how much they're making and how much is going to the effort.
Yeah, what's overhead and what's effort? Yeah. The next question, I was telling you earlier about the comedy.
Yeah.
The next question I wanted to ask you was, looking back on your career and looking back on your sum total of your experience thus far, if you were to come up with a paragraph, a line or two or something that you would like for the next generation or the generations after that going forward, what would you like for them to know? What would you like for them to understand more than anything?
I'd like them to be better trained.
Better trained?
Better trained. I've been on being retired off. I hate a lot of Army posts and everything. I don't see nothing but nobody training.
Really?
I see Lexus, Mercedes, all these fancy cars in the parking lot at the PX and commissary.
Mhm.
Who the hell's training? What, are they doing it by computers or something? I
Yeah,
don't
where's
know.
the marching?
Yeah, where's the marching troops at? But they don't do that anymore.
There's no marching in the Army?
There's not,
That's like no handwriting in grade school English,
That's
remedial
right.
English.
I didn't see very little. At Fort Gordon, I saw the school troops, and at Fort Sam, the medical people down there,
Sam
marching
Houston?
between buildings and everything, you know. But they need to be better trained, not only physically but mentally, you know, because it's a all volunteer army, and basically we were an all volunteer army back in 49 and 50.
49 and 50, yeah.
Everybody volunteered, you know,
Right.
before the draft.
Now that changed in summer of 51, I guess?
I think about that.
Thereabouts, yeah. And I apologize for that, because I have to bear in mind that your environment in 51, 52
Mm-hmm.
is totally, your perspective on it's got to be totally different, because you're not getting newspapers.
Yeah,
You
that's
know,
true.
everything you had to get, you've learned secondhand after the fact.
We were thrown into the damn meat grinder. Like I just come out of basic training, and it was cut short.
Sorry, wrong door.
And it was cut short. They said, we got to get you home for a little leave, and then on a Greyhound bus to Washington.
Washington State.
Yeah.
So you launched out of Seattle on your trip.
No, not Seattle. I think Pier 91 or something like that there. But we got on an airplane and flew to Alaska, and then out on the Aleutian chain, landed, and then into Tokyo.
And then to Tokyo.
Yeah.
Were you ever, this goes back to, and I know you were young, but this may have come up in your career afterward, and I found it ironic. The subject of the next book I'm doing is a World War II guy that had been in Anzio and Casino and Naples and Rome and all that, and North Africa. But he ended up working with Walker in the 8th, under the 8th on the west side of Korea. What's interesting about his story is that in 1947, unknowing to him what he was volunteering for, he volunteered for a task force called Task Force Frigid.
Okay.
And they sent him to Alaska. And they put him in a tank, and they gave him a tanker's bodysuit to wear that you plugged into the dashboard.
Hmm.
And it was supposed to keep you warm in the most coldest conditions. There was like 2 task force. One of them was Task Force Frigid,
Okay.
of which he played a role in. So it was almost as if in 47 they kind of knew maybe in 50 we're going to be in some really cold environments. I suspect it was just preemptive training and experimentation. With
It
the
sounds like experimental.
yeah, with the suspect of thinking that our next battle.
Maybe someday.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but
But he said the damn thing was so bad. He said you put the uniform on. He said half my body's on fire, and the other half is frozen solid.
that's what they wanted to know.
Yeah, well, it worked out. They found out.
But you know, years later, in 56, 57, I went into tanks.
Oh yeah.
And I went to tank school
Where at?
in Vilseck, Germany.
Okay.
And it was a light tank, 26-ton M41, fastest all get out.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but I love tanking. We didn't have any suits in Germany. You know.
Right.
We did. We did have a heater.
Really?
We had a heater, and it was called a Little Joe heater, which kept the oil in the main engine warm. You know, it keep that on, and it also forced a little air inside the tank. But with your clothes on, it was adequate.
Fairly comfortable.
Yeah.
Well, as comfort could be inside a tank
Yeah.
anyway.
But then later on, and that was in the cavalry. Later on, we graduated to the bigger tank, the medium tank, which is a 52-ton tank.
The M4?
No, it's an M48.
M48.
Yeah, it was after the 46 and 47. This was the medium tank,
Okay.
and it was really nice. It was really nice.
Warm and comfortable under all conditions. What about summertime in a tank? How bad is that?
There was no air conditioning.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. And when you got a bat in the hatches, it is what it is.
That's
right?
right. But you you had enough armament. They said that once you knock a track off a tank, you're in trouble.
Right.
Hell, if they stay with the tank, you got a 90 millimeter gun, you got a 30 caliber machine gun, you got a 50 caliber machine gun. You can raise some hell.
And a couple inches of steel to keep you from
That's
the other
right.
side pinging on the outside. So you were in Germany for how long?
That all told, 6 years.
Were you in the Bamberg area?
I was in Bamberg because a buddy of mine was in the 7th Cav
Okay.
up there. I think it was the 3rd Infantry Division at that time.
So
But-
what was your take on the Berlin crisis?
You know,
60.
that happened. What the hell? What year was it? The Berlin crisis?
I was thinking 60. Maybe early 61.
I thought it was a little bit before that. But Berlin was so far away from us. I was in Nuremberg,
Okay.
and
That's where my son-in-law is now.
in Mainz, Germany. Berlin that was in the Russian zone.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
was in the
that was
Russian
across the border.
But they had the British zone, the American zone, and then the Russians were over. They had it over there. But we didn't. I don't know anybody that went up there. You had to get special pass, and then you got to get. There was all kind of political and all kind of shit you had to go through to visit Berlin,
Yeah.
unless you went by air.
Right. So what was your job there? I mean, did you go up on and patrol the American zone?
Well, at that the first time with the light tanks, I was with the 3rd Armored Division, and we were the recon company. We were the recon battalion for the 3rd Armored Division.
Okay.
Okay, and we did patrol the border, the Czech border.
Right.
And when I went back the second time, I was in the 2nd Armored Cavalry, and we had 3 posts on the Czech border. But I didn't go out personally because I was the operations sergeant back in Nuremberg.
Okay.
But I had 2 tanks
As an operations sergeant.
as the operations sergeant. Yeah, one was for the S3 and one for the commander.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And the commander was, well, my S3 was General Hody's son.
Really?
Yes, and the gentleman, damn, I can't remember his first name. Oh, John T. Hody's. He was Brigadier General Hody's son when I was with the 7th. Colonel Hody's, Major Hody's, was a 2nd lieutenant in the 1st Cavalry Division at that time.
Oh, really?
In 50, and got his ass all shot up, and he was evacuated, and then he came back again. But anyway,
That brings up. I'm sorry.
go ahead.
That brings up another question. And this is from tanker to tanker. All right. So I'm going to preface this with the story. Gunnery sergeant friend of mine, when they went into Baghdad,
Mm-hmm.
you had the one major spearhead going to Baghdad, and then you had the break off to the west to Al-Nazari. His Marine tank group was part of that spearhead to Al-Nazari. And it was his 2nd tour around. And I talked to him right before he left, and I said, "Look, Gunny," I said, "I love you, but I got to ask this question." I said, "Why is it you're going back for seconds? Because most people have been on the front line one time. One's good.
Yeah.
I don't need mores, And his comment was, he said, "Well, I didn't think my boys were smart enough to stay alive."
There you go.
I said, "That's a good line." So I'm interviewing Sam Arredondo on this next biography, the World War II tanker and the Korean tanker. And I asked him, I said,
Y'all seen Charmaine?
no, I
I
haven't.
haven't seen one.
Oh, okay.
Last time I saw her, she was down, last time I saw her, she was down there in the corner in the breakfast tables where everybody was eating this morning.
Oh, okay, okay.
That's been a bit. Sorry, Ron. So I get Sam, and Sam, you know, World War II for 3.5 years, Korea, Germany, and a chance in Vietnam, right? And I said, Sam, I said, look, dude, most guys after World War II, one's good.
Yeah.
What made you go back for seconds? And I swear, same words. I didn't think my boys were smart enough to stay alive.
The thing about it is, in World War II, that was a tour.
Yeah.
It was for the duration. You were there for the duration. My cousin was 19 at the time. He spent 4 years in Europe and Germany, over in Europe,
For occupation?
all the way,
Oh, from start to finish.
start to finish.
Wow.
So that was one tour of duty.
Oh, wow. Yeah, Sam said he spent 11 years in grade. And when he got back to Knox, something had come up, these guys, he said the guys were in the locker room and they were complaining about, you know, who was going to be the next guy up, and who was going to be the E7.
Yeah.
And Sam's like, I never paid attention to that shit. And that's what they worried about, because he never worried about grade. And then a few minutes later, the commander came in, called him out, and he found out he was the one that was getting promoted, even though all these other guys were bitching. They were saying, well, I don't know who this guy is, but he just showed up last week, and he's getting a promotion, and I've been looking for it, and all this crap.
But he has time in grade.
He's got, big time in
He's got
grade.
big time in grade. That's right. And he's got the experience.
Right.
He knows every goddamn nut and bolt on that tank.
And he can call it off by serial number.
That's right. That's right. But you know the difference, they were really outgunned in World War II, you know, with the German tanks and everything, and the Russian tanks. And in Korea, it wasn't conducive to tanks.
No.
But, you know, they did some tank warfare and everything. And we trained in between there and in Vietnam, and Vietnam wasn't conducive to tanks.
Right.
Especially in the Delta or in II Corp. You know.
That's what Sam said. He had a chance to go to Vietnam, and his commander said, you can go. And Sam said, well, will I be fighting? He said, no, you basically be wrapping up tanks and bringing them back, because there's just not that much use for them. And he's like, no, I don't think 3 times a charm for me. I'm not going to get lucky 3 times, so I'm going to stay home. So
I don't blame him. Yeah. But you know, we used to joke about who's going on patrol in Vietnam. Because, you know, in the Special Forces A team were all sergeants.
Okay.
And say, well, why don't you send that master sergeant out there on patrol? You know? And my buddy, he finally got killed, but we used to bust each other's balls, you know, about
At every chance?
Yeah, every chance. If an E5, he said, send that E6 on site, well, I'm ready to move up, you know.
What was it, Starlight Scopes? What was your take on Starlight Scopes? Do you think that was the best thing since French Toast, or?
No, you know, they had them in Korea when the second time I was there, in 68, 69. They had them on the DMZ. I didn't have anything to do with them. I knew they were out on the DMZ.
Yeah.
And the young guys had them out there scanning the area. But what I thought was really good along the DMZ was searchlights. On certain nights, they just and they had a black light, a black searchlight.
Really?
You couldn't see it unless you had glasses on.
Unless you had the infrared glass barrier.
Yes, and they throw this light out there and bounce it off the clouds.
And
way out there.
It just light everything.
And light things up. Light things up enough for you to see.
No kidding.
Yeah.
And that's, for information for the camera, that's the low-level red light. You had to have a red lens, and you could put 5,000 watts to that bad boy in a space this big, and you're right. It'll shine up a whole room, but ain't gonna do you any good if you ain't got the right glasses on.
You know, we were, the second time, we had a section on the DMZ, our battalion, and we had mines out there, we had trip flares, you know, in the DMZ.
Yeah.
And so early morning for our troops in the foxholes, and we had troops in the foxhole every night, 68, 69.
Mm-hmm.
Next to us was a Korean battalion.
Yeah.
They had nothing out there. What they had out there was frogs, a bunch of frogs.
Little hop ribbit,
Frogs.
put them in a frying pan frog.
Put them out there. If they stopped croaking, something was out there.
No kidding.
Yeah.
How well did that work?
I guess it worked pretty well.
And then they have to blow shit up to get there. That's pretty impressive.
And then they, of course, they always impose a, something like, what the hell they call it? If North Korea would fire at you, you would only allowed to return light type caliber. Now, how do I know that's a 7.62?
About 5'4",
Yeah.
right?
So, we enforced it. You get a couple rounds, just fire a couple rounds back. The Koreans, they would fire a goddamn crossbow into the zone. They'd open with 155s. I says, oh shit.
Now that's a good topic of discussion in and
Yeah.
of itself. The Rock Marine, 1960s, mid-60s, early 70s, that soldier versus the Pusan Perimeter /
Yeah.
First Rocks in Korea in 1950.
No comparison.
No comparison. What would you attribute that upgrade to? You think after the Korean War that they snapped to and figured it out?
They sure did. They sure.
Because they're
did.
considered some badasses, weren't they?
They were, and they were very selective. They were well trained.
Mm-hmm.
They were disciplined, and took no quarter.
And hardcore.
Hardcore.
Yeah.
And it's hard to find people like that anymore.
How do you think they would have held up if that version of the Rock Marine then was back in 1950? How do you think that would have played out for the Chinese?
I think it'd been a lot different situation. Now, I'm not talking. I don't know about the Rock Marines. The Rock Marines were very good. You know,
Yeah.
I never had any in touch with Rock Marines, but I know they were with the 1st Marine Division.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing, and not even the Rock Army, just the Cattusas.
Yeah.
You know, the guys the Joe Schmuck
They just pulled from the rice paddy, right?
the guy went out for milk and he disappeared for 2
He
years.
never
you know.
came over.
Yeah. Or he was a prisoner for 3 years.
Right.
But I was more or less in the same damn boat. You know, I had the training, but I didn't certainly have enough training.
Right.
The right training.
Yeah.
And just like the Task Force Smith or the occupation troops in Japan,
Uh-huh.
they were so goddamn soft. You know, they just threw them to the woods.
Wow.
A lot of World War II veterans that was in all the outfits, they went to the first units that went in, and they got slaughtered.
The argument that I hear now about forces in Germany would be if the Russians decided to come cavalcading through Germany, we'd be enough to slow them down for about 3 days.
Maybe.
So you hold that same opinion?
Maybe.
Yeah, because that was added to that sentence when I heard it. Maybe 3 days.
When I left Germany in '63.
Mhm.
But we were still different than we were in 55, 56, 57. In that period, we trained. We were out in the field 9 months a year.
Well, weren't you sharing the same training fields with the French? Or in in your location, maybe that wasn't the case. That's what I heard about Bamberg in certain parts.
Well, no, I wasn't in Bamberg, I was in Nuremberg.
Okay, so
Yeah,
I am talking
and
about
in
Bamberg.
Stuttgart and Mainz. But we had the same mission, you know, is stop the border,
Secure the border, right?
secure the border type thing, but we didn't have enough people. We had a couple of armored divisions, some infantry divisions, cavalry regiments. They had 13 tank divisions over there.
Oh, shit.
How are we going to stop them, you know? But they planned on doing that with atomic type weapons, you know.
Yeah.
But the mission was to get the dependents out. And then we'd ride like hell, you know.
Okay. Actually, I'd heard Ray speak in similar terms. That his wife had 2 tankfuls of gas, and then
That's right.
the trunk of her car,
That's right.
and they were supposed to shoot their ass as fast as they could to a certain location, and they would catch up.
Get sorted from there
Wow.
into France. Yeah.
Wow. What? Again, I gotta ask the POW question. 3 years or 33 months POW. What made you decide to stay with it?
Well, you know, it very impressionable. I didn't want to go to school, and back in those days, if you didn't go to school, I was 15 years old. They considered you an incorrigible.
Well, that was the term.
That was a term, and they had a school for the incorrigibles, where the instructors were just as incorrigible. They would beat your ass. And anyway.
Oh, they were all Catholic?
Yeah. Catholic nuns.
Nuns, hell, we get priests and belts this thick. They're brothers. Oh my God.
But the
Never get beat by a monk. It hurts.
but they come in and said that he's not going to school and we're going to have to put him away. And my uncle said, he heard about it, he says, I was in the same boat in 1938, 39. He says, but they put me away, the same place,
Wow.
a place called Shell Cross outside of Philadelphia.
Yeah.
He says, you do not want to go there, and I don't want you to go there.
I love you too much for this.
Yes, he says, I've been there, I've noticed. So he forged my baptismal papers. He adjusted my baptismal with an ink eradicator,
Yeah.
and got me in the Army.
Really?
Yeah.
So it wasn't you forging up. You actually got moral support getting there.
That's moral support, and then my mother signed the papers.
Wow.
Yeah. So what happened was, I didn't go to school at home. I mean, didn't go to school, so I didn't go to jail.
Yeah.
So I went to Korea, and they put me in jail.
You didn't duck that bullet at all.
Say, I should have stayed home. I got 3 squares.
Last night you were joking about coming home after your stint,
Yeah.
and your neighbors, the local
My-
guys on
my
the
buddies,
street corner. Yeah, if you're up for sharing that story, I thought that was fantastic.
Yeah. Well, you know, I came home and had a few dollars.
Yeah.
I had $2,900
Wow.
for 3 years.
Wow.
That's my pay. So I put it in the bank, and in my neighborhood, if you could reach on the bar with your money, you could buy a beer.
You can get a drink.
In Philadelphia. So we were drinking it 14, 15 years old in the neighborhood bar,
Yeah.
because they knew everybody. You know?
Locally, yeah.
Yeah. If you looked like you were getting drunk, they'd kick you in the ass and throw you out, you know.
Yeah.
You go home.
So you don't get stupid.
That's right. But anyway, I went home and went to my neighborhood, and my buddies were standing on a street corner, same buddies. Hey, they called me Bub at that time. They said, hey Bob, where you been? I said, oh, I've been away for a while, you know. I said, Where you been? I've been in the Army. Oh, yeah. When did you join the Army? Well, where you been? I said, I've been in Korea. Oh, wow, how long you been in Korea? So, but you're home now, right? I thought, oh, good to see you. Didn't even know I was left. Didn't even know I left.
Nice, Bob. Love you.
He said, you want to buy a beer, sir? But, you know, and that went on for 3 or 4 months. I didn't have a car. I didn't even have a driver's license.
Yeah.
I never drove a car. So they said, we need a car. Meaning my money to buy a car, you know.
Yeah.
I said, yeah, we need a car to get around. And they took me to a used car lot, and boy, that's a nice Plymouth there. They kicked the tires, you know, check the radio. Oh, radio's good. Yeah. Not one of them opened the hood to see if there was an engine in there.
Right, right.
$750 I paid for I think a 51 or 52 Plymouth.
Plymouth?
Yeah.
Like
So we had some place to go between bar and bar, you know.
we take this little 2-door Cranbrook that looked like a giant living.
No, this was a 4-door.
Okay. How big of an engine?
I don't know. It was an engine. It was an engine in there.
I'm thinking, I worked on a 1951 Ford Cranbrook that was, you know, your typical low price 4-door sedan, 2-door sedan, and it had a 4-cylinder engine in it. But I'm going to tell you, in 1987, that son of a bitch was still going to Tennessee 5 days a week. It's the most unbelievable vehicle I ever saw. It was like the Armageddon car.
Yeah.
After the world ends, it'll be here and still running.
But then I promptly wrecked that car. And on Valentine's Day, 1954, we were out drinking, and a buddy of mine was taking me home. He had a new car, a 1939 Chevy, and we were outside of prison in North Philadelphia. We were all drunk. He ran up the road and hit a tree, and I went through the windshield. That's why I got all this.
Oh, wow.
I went through the windshield. He didn't even have a license. So when the police came, the guards in the tower called down and said, hey, there's a wreck out here. Better get some ambulance out here.
Yeah.
I was on the hood.
Knocked out.
Halfway on the hood.
Yeah.
Bleeding. And they took me to the hospital. And they put 5 stitches in this. 5 stitches.
To cover 7.5 inches of face? Wow.
At a Catholic hospital, you know, just trying to save money. But
They didn't get enough donations that week.
yeah.
Right?
So the police, the state trooper said, he says, I got to talk to this guy, find out, you know. He said, were you driving? I said, shit, I wasn't driving, you know. He said, his buddy said he's driving. I said, I went through the windshield, you know. He said, well, I have to give you a ticket for no license, you know. And he said that, well, he went on a lot of things that I was going to have to do, but all I did was, I said, I better shut up. I go, I'm really hurting here, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
But I told my buddy, I said, you go get that goddamn ticket.
I'm not eating this one, right?
I'm not eating this son of a bitch.
You've been dealing with the Chosin Few since the 80s, I assume? 83, 86?
It's been a long time.
Long time. And I want to thank you for taking the time. I really do.
Hey, my problem.
But I have to ask the question, since the 80s, I mean, we're talking 30 plus years later. Do you get tired of being asked the questions and all that?
No.
Right.
No, I don't mind.
No.
Like I say, it is what it is, you know.
Your response to last night on the panel, I've got that panel discussion recorded, and I was really taken back by that. I like your perspective on things.
You got to man up, man. You got to take care of yourself.
Yeah, it'll run over you if you don't, right?
That's right.
Yeah. You got anything you want to add on or wrap up with, or?
No, just nice talking with you, you know.
Been a pleasure. How'd you meet the missus?
We were in Fort Knox. Well, she was in Fort Knox, stationed there with her dad.
Okay.
And I was in Fort Hood, and I was a tank commander in Fort Hood. And, well, actually, we were given AIT and BCT to the troops and new recruits in Fort Hood, 59, 58, 59, and 60.
Okay.
And I was in the tank portion of the instruction,
Okay.
of the AIT, the scout and the cavalry portion of it. They said, well, there's an opening up for advanced armor NCO in Fort Knox. Anybody want to go to school? I said, I'll go.
Yeah.
And that's when I came up to Fort Knox, I think for 12 weeks of schooling.
Huh?
Did real well in the armor portion because I was in armor anyway, you know.
What year was this?
This was 59.
59.
Yeah. And just a great experience, you know, with the tanks. And I met her her dad at the NCO club, her family at the NCO club, with dancing and carrying on.
Yeah.
And she won me over, you know.
I would imagine pretty quickly and easily.
Yeah. Take me, I'm yours.
And being a military daughter, or daughter of a military man, I'm sure
Yeah.
she was no quick pushover either.
I tell you, take you out of ghettos.
How many years?
We've been married 57 years.
57 years. And she still likes you. I can tell from last night's conversation. So you're doing something right. So we got that going on.
Say 57 years and the same woman.
That's awesome. And I look at some of you military guys, and I know that your wives play a big role in not just being your partner in life, but keeping you square. You know, there's a lot of stress coming from being in the military.
It's just hanging on.
Yeah, I mean, that's not common anymore, man.
No, it's as easy as like I told this young lady in New Albany, her niece. I said, it's the easiest goddamn thing in the world is to quit.
Yeah.
I said, anybody can quit. It takes guts to hang in there. You know?
Right. But do I have your permission to put this on
Sure.
YouTube?
Yeah.
God love you, sir. Bless you for your efforts.
Hey, my pleasure.
Let me see if I sign this thing, because if I haven't, I'm going to sign this to you.
Oh,
Let you. This one's to the gunnery sergeant. I'll get you another copy.
Okay, no problem.
I'm going to put my phone.
I just wanted to see some a little bit.
Sure, go ahead. I'll put my phone number and my email address in there.
Oh, yeah?
And
Okay.
please call me. You don't have to read it. You might get bored. I don't know. I don't know if you're big on military reading or not.
Hey. See, I've almost got all the books that Ron bought.
Okay. So yeah, I want to thank you all for identifying that library book as being the type of book that it was, where people would just contact you and fill it. I didn't know the premise of that book at all. But at least I'm grateful that something was in the public library or school library
Yes,
somewhere.
indeed. That's the first time I've seen that one.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, I know the name's a little misleading. When you see Chosin, or you see Churchill, you kind of think Winston, but no, that's Derbytown. He was a big horseman.
he said that he's talking about Lovey and the kids were waiting for him at the gate. In another part of the airport, the Greenwell family watched from the windows as the body. Sandy's name is Greenwell.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And they were all from Shelbyville, and
That's south of Louisville, yeah.
and that county out that way, you know.
Yeah, this is coming out of Meade. The Greenwell son, Ray, he was serving with Ray with the 26th
Mm-hmm.
up in II Corp. And he trained this guy a little bit. It was pretty close to him. And they called him Ranger Joe. His name was Joe Greenwell. Just called him Ranger Joe. Fresh out of Ranger school. And Ray kind of adopted him. Ray's wife, Lovey, knew his mom from church back in Fort Knox area and all that kind of stuff. And Joe took himself, his point man, his radio man. They set the whole group down to eat lunch. And then they were going to move forward to set a trap.
Okay.
So Joe grabbed these two guys with him, and they moved. While these guys were eating, he decided to move forward. And about 150 yards further up, and all hell broke loose. He did not survive that. Ray was called in because he gets on the radio to call in to see where you guys are at, what's going on, I hear gunfire. And the radio, there's no answer. The radio guy went with the point man and the ranger. So there's nobody overseeing the troops sitting back here eating lunch. So Ray grabs a Jeep and he moves up to his position, to their position. He was like, "Where's Greenwell?" Well, he went up that way. I mean, they were impervious to what even happened to him at this point. They're still, copping tens. So Ray says, "Come on, get your shit together. You're under me now." And they go up, and Greenwell was stuck in front of a machine gun nest, still alive. The radio man had been shot, and the radio had been hit, and the point man had been hit and killed. So Ray takes his grappling hook, sets it up, launches it up, and grabs Greenwell's vest, pulls it back, set off a smoke grenade in his chest. He had a big gaping stomach wound. But the COG left him there because they figured somebody's going to come get him. So he's bait boy, we'll just use him to draw other soldiers up and take them out. And Ray's like, "I'm not buying that." So they got a couple guys on the rope and pulled Greenwell back, but he didn't survive the wound. He flew and passed in the flight on the way back. So Ray was so committed to the soldier that he flew home with the body to deliver himself.
Wow, that's nice. That's nice.
Yeah. Well, the trip to California Airport wasn't so nice. It was one of those, Vietnam guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he came up with a good answer. That if you decide to read it, I found it entertaining, all things considered.
Well, I'm quite sure I'll find something interesting in there.
All right, I'll get you this copy. I keep grabbing this one. I got to give this one to a Marine Corps.
Okay, no problem.
So.
Okay.
Elliot, God bless your soul, sir.
God bless you guys.
Don't you ever change.
Hell no. I'm too old for that.